Thank you for tuning in and welcome back to the Sandwich of Coherency. So let's just go ahead and jump right into this. The Uvalde school shooting, which saw 19 people shot. This was a tragedy, an absolute tragedy. And this tragedy is being used by the Democrats in order to push this agenda they have about, well, we have to take away guns from the law-abiding citizens because, well, taking things away from those that don't break the law will somehow prevent people who don't give a crap about laws from breaking laws. Their logic is absolutely insane. How the mental gymnastics they must do to come to that kind of conclusion is absolutely beyond me. But again, you have an 18-year-old who murdered 19 people. Now, we have these things called body cams. Police officers have them. I'd like to think that most districts around the United States that can afford them do have them. And those that can't afford them, I think those are the areas where we should probably invest a little more to make sure that they have them. Now, I'm sure small towns that don't have that much trouble, it's not one of their main focuses, but hey, you never know. Better to be safe than sorry because, well, things happen and nobody wants to go off of he said, she said anymore when the opportunity to have actual proof is there. But see, the thing about these body cams is that you have districts around the United States that try and withhold the video. And they come up with all kinds of excuses as to why we can't release this. And many times they make these excuses to prevent releasing it to the families of victims. Now, in my opinion, anytime you have video proof of something, actual video, not he said, not just audio, but you have a visual representation of a crime that happened, and you have two sides giving their versions. Well, when those that have access to the video don't want to release said video, questions have to be asked. What are you hiding? Now, look, I'm a firm believer in police. I support police departments. I have no problem with that. But I also understand and recognize that there are terrible people that work for many departments across the United States. As I've said before, there are good people in this world and there are bad people in this world. And there are good people who become cops. And there are bad people that become cops. So we don't judge everybody under some broad spectrum. We can't do that. Because we don't apply it to other things. And we wouldn't apply it to other things. But those that refuse to do that are the hypocrites. That's just the reality. Their idea is that if one cop does something wrong, then that means that all cops are the same as that one person, no matter where they are, near and far, on a global level. Seriously, if one cop in one small town or some city in the United States does something wrong, then by standards of many people now, then every police officer around the world in every nation is the same as that guy. Okay, and these are people that have family members that are police officers, that know these, that have grown up with them and have seen what they do and know that these are really good people that are trying to help their community, that the only reason they got this job is to try and prevent harm from happening in their community, to actually protect their neighbors. According to people now, these days, those guys are also just as bad. And this includes African Americans that grew up in the ghetto, that grew up in impoverished low-income areas, that see the violence and crime around them and think, when I grow up, I want to protect people in my community from these people that are victimizing them. those guys are now seen as also the bad guy. And it just it's ridiculous. But I want to read from an article in the Independent about what is going on with the body cam footage, because this is very, very interesting. And, you know, it's, to me, it raises so many questions, like, what actually did you do? What didn't you do? Was there more you could have done? Why were you trying to keep parents from being able to try and get to their children if you weren't doing anything about it? Why did you try to keep other officers that came from going in to do anything about it? There's so many questions that need to be asked about this whole thing. But this article in Independent starts off, and this is very important. Texas police want to block officers' body cam footage of the Uvalde elementary school massacre response from being made public. The Texas Department of Public Safety has asked the state's office of the Attorney General to prevent the public release of police body camera footage from Robb Elementary. TDPS officials have argued that the video could be used by other shooters to establish police weakness in responding to crimes, according to Vice. A law firm representing the city of Uvalde has also asked the Attorney General's office to rule on records request, according to the Associated Press, citing 52 legal areas they claim exempts the release of the records. And we'll get a little bit more into that of the article, but that's a weak excuse. That's a really weak excuse. We can't let the public see it, because if the public sees it, you know, they might be able to find weaknesses. Honestly, they don't really need to see the body cam footage to acknowledge weaknesses. They can look at all the other footage, because obviously you screwed up. Absolutely screwed up. And this body cam footage that you apparently do not want to release screams even more to the fact that you screwed up. Because if you hadn't screwed up, if you had done the right thing and did your jobs properly, you would have no qualms about releasing that footage. You would be throwing it at the media, begging them, pleading, forcing, and wanting to pay them to play the footage so that the general public could see how great of a job you did. But you don't want to do that because your job was shit and you know it. The article goes on, an 18-year-old gunman murdered 19 students and 2 teachers with an AR-15 rifle as law enforcement officers waited in a corridor outside the classroom. See, this is, Following the mass shooting in May, the TDPS Director Colonel Stephen McCraw acknowledged that police did not follow protocol and that their failure to immediately storm the classroom was the wrong decision. Everybody knows that. Captain Hindsight, we don't need you to confirm that. Live video of it happening confirmed that. Everybody knows they made the wrong decision, and you have it on film. School District Police Chief Pete Arredondo, who says he did not have his police radio with him, told the Texas Tribune that he did not think he was in charge of the law enforcement response and believed someone else was. Did you not think to make a phone call? Did you not think that, hey, maybe I should check this out? This might have something to do with me, considering it's a shooting at a school. A Border Patrol tactical unit eventually breached the classroom and shot and killed Salvador Ramos. Oh, I guess that's why the media hasn't been pushing the white supremacy narrative this time. I think that's, oh, wow. Huh. The Office of the Attorney General will now review the body cam footage and audio of the incident to see what, if anything, can be released. The state has an exemption law that protects information being released when no one has been convicted of a crime, and the Texas Attorney General's office has ruled that it applies to a suspect being dead, and that is very alarming, because they're using the excuse that, well, since the suspect hasn't been convicted of the crime, we can't release the footage. So, are you going to have a mock-up trial without him? That is a very poor excuse. That is an absolutely poor excuse, because we know that's a lie, because they release footage all the time. That has not, even when the people aren't convicted. Including suspects that are dead. This is an absolute sham of an investigation. And I'm quite surprised that we haven't heard more from the Department of Justice insisting that this footage be released. Why is that? They seem to be around everywhere else. They're mucking around with the parents who want to know what's going on with their child, doing everything to censor speech. Oh, they got caught, but it looks like they're bringing it back with Kamala Harris at the helm. Oh, geez, nothing is ever going to get done. We've seen what she did with the border, so now she's in charge of online bullying. Looks like the people that are considered online bullies have nothing to fear, because just like her being in charge of the border, I'm pretty sure nothing's going to happen. But this is absolutely ridiculous. This police department knows they did wrong. The governor needs to step in, and if he can do anything, have this footage released to the public. The parents are going to want to see this footage. And that's going to cause some very huge implications into what happened, and it's going to create a lot more accusation, and it's going to add a lot of credence to what people are saying about them screwing up. And this will lead credence to every conspiracy theory about it. People saying, oh, the government did. This is a government psyop and all this. You know, it's kind of like Pavlov's dog, or no, what is it, the cat in the box or something like that. I mean, until they release the footage, the conspiracy theories will stand true. There's no way to disprove them, because that which can won't be released. Or at least right now they're attempting not to release it. So I guess we will see what happens with this going forward, but I'm not putting really a lot of stock in the fact of you'll have any kind of federal intervention to help bring justice for the families that want to know how bad the police department screwed up this entire thing. But like I said, we'll wait and see what happens. But until then, I thank you for tuning in, and we'll catch you next time.